landlords will rent the person. Sometimes they will make decisions based upon the national origin of the person. And this is something that's illegal also. Say, for instance, if a person comes in and this person, well, after 9/11, there was not a dramatic rise in discrimination against persons with Islamic type of Middle East names, but that did happen. I spoke before the groups just like, similar to this one, where the Department of Ministry, this is what can we do to get them out? We're afraid of them. These are U.S. citizens, many of them were. But they face discrimination because of their national origin. Other situations will be the imposition of different terms and conditions. If a landlords can, I don't know how many landlords in the audience tonight, isn't there? Quite a few. Landlords have the right to make money. You have the right to make money. You have the right to keep your properties in decent shape, because Congress doesn't intend for you not to make money, not to have good tenants that will pay their bills. Now, in terms of persons coming into your apartment complex applying for housing, what you can do is ask them questions. You can ask them questions: are you a citizen? Yes or no? If they say no, then you can ask them other questions about the employee. You can ask them questions about their citizenship status. Are they here on work programs or student visas or things of that nature? Why? Because you have a contract. You have the right to enforce that contract. If you don't have an assurance that the person is going to be here to fulfill that contract, you have the right to do this. You're making this decision based upon good business practices. Now, if you make the decision based upon the fact the person has an Asian surname, a person speaks Russian, or a person is Hispanic, you're basically making a decision based upon that person's national origin, which is one of the protected bases under the federal law. This is the distinction I want to make, is that any resident within the United States, as the professor had said, we got a lot of people living in there, all these people in these places live. You're making the distinction based upon national origin, and not against everybody. If I came to rent from you, you didn't ask me the same question, you're not requiring me. Well, I happen to be a Fort Worth native also. If you'd read my bio, you'd know that. But a guy from a old boy from Fort Worth, he don't ask me about certain things like, are you a citizen of the United States? I may not be. I may be from Canada. You just violated the law. So you've got to be very careful in terms of what you're asking questions, because this is where the national origin discrimination will come into play. Other types, I know people usually like hearing about cases. We certainly have situations involving other protected classes. Our office is involved in doing a lot of investigations involving persons with disabilities. We have the Fair Housing Act provides certain design and construction requirements for the construction of new multifamily housing. This is something we're involved in a lot. In terms of just the types of cases we receive right now, the largest group that files complaints to this department are persons with disabilities. For a long time, it was persons who were African American. That was our largest group. Now, about 49% of our complaints are from persons with disability. In terms of persons of national origin, I've heard the figures quoted that our state is rapidly, well, right now it's rapidly becoming, I think, predominantly Hispanic. Not what the professor would say in the coming years, but in terms of complaints filed by the Hispanics, probably less than 5% of the complaints that we receive are filed from Hispanics. Probably less than 5%. This is a group that we have extensive outreach to. We're attempting to find, because these persons are being victimized. They do. Unfortunately, in this day and age, people still do discriminate. Got a lot of good landlords out there. I'm glad to say that the majority of the landlords I deal with, or the majority of the banks that I deal with on a daily basis, they're out there to provide a service the best way they can. But people still are being victimized because of either their race or national origin, disability, or some other protected basis. Like I said, I normally have about 4 hours, so I'm not going to take 4 hours. I know there's probably questions out there, but the point I would like, since the subject of this forum is immigration issues, I just want to be sure everybody knows that the Federal Fair Housing Act provides protections against persons because of their national origin, and this is not because of their citizenship status. So if someone comes and says, let's file a complaint because I'm not a U.S. citizen, we won't take the complaint. If they're saying, well, they're only asking me questions because I'm from Bahrain or somewhere like that, and not asking my good friend Gary questions about where he's from, or requiring him to pay $500 down for the department, that's national origin discrimination. So I'm going to sit down, because I'm sure probably there'll be some questions coming from the audience. I think that's what the whole purpose of the question drop off.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.